Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. The Octane Online Racing drivers have landed here at Silverstone for round 2 of the Simrigs Sprint Series. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nick Amon, and I want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast. And of course, joining me, as always, who else is it going to be? Mr. Kevin Parody. Kevin, this is a pretty exciting circuit for you, isn't it?
I love this track in a lot of ways, and the idea of doing two 30-minute sprint races on it as the second race of the season makes me think of nothing but exciting moments for us for the rest of the evening.
I agree with that. We had a circuit last week with Coda. You know, we talked about tire wear a lot here, and this is going to be a similar case. I mean, those two circuits are compared quite a lot, actually, across pretty much any motorsport you see. So I think it's a good follow-up to week number 1.
I think so too. The 30-minute format means I don't think we're going to see anybody stopping for tires. That's just too long. This is going to be 1 liter bounce and go. So that means they can do it pretty much anywhere in that 25 out of the 30, or sort of 20 out of the 30 minutes. Anytime that pit window's open, it's not going to matter. You're running the same tires all night, so you might as well take that dip if you're being held back.
Absolutely. We'll see how drivers can handle it. We usually do the 60 minutes, but yeah, 230 minutes can always change things up. So we're going through our first qualifying session right now. At the moment, it is Skylar Loverink. I'm not going to look at the car just yet, because I was told by Skylar that I should be prepared for I don't have the exact words in front of me for this session, but he just told me to just take a look out for it, because I was scared. He said it was a team livery. I'm questioning how true that actually is. But we'll just have to wait and see whether the auto camera decides to give us something, or if we have to wait until the grid walk. But right now it is Loverink on pole position with a 157.81. That is 5 thousandths ahead of this man right here, Endar Augusto in the 27 Porsche. We've got some pretty solid competition up top. Mateus Freitas was on the podium actually last week, and currently sitting P4, and he's only a tenth or so back from Austin Carpenter's in P3. I mean, do we think that he can make that little lunge, or is he going to be destined to sit there in position 4 for this first race?
One of my favorite parts about Silverstone is these high-speed, fast, and mid-speed corners. So there's lots of places where you can get right up with somebody. There's maybe some places you shouldn't go too wide, but there's quite a few places to pass on this track. So given that 30-minute format, I think they're going to be all but running into each other, and an emphasis on the all but, hopefully.
Well, it's up to the drivers to make this circuit work with what they've been given, of course. Silverstone, I enjoy this circuit. There's a couple of corners that I'm personally not a huge fan of, simply just because of the tricky nature of them. Luffield absolutely is one of them. Keep in mind, we actually start at the start-finish straight just before Cops Corner, so we're on the opposite side of the circuit compared to F1. But, I mean, Luffield, it just seems to go on forever.
There is that. You also mentioned our starting point, and our second race tonight is a reverse grid for the top 10. So that means, with the oddities of the way ACC starts races, I was watching some of the earlier splits, and the front row is going to be damn near to that first corner before that light goes green. So there is a huge compression as all those cars behind, who have time to get up to speed before they get to that corner, happens, and there have been some incidents, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's always tricky with those reverse grids. I believe you said it's the top 10, it's not the top 12 like it was in the seasons prior?
No, it's top 10 this time, and then the 11th and down do the regular. They do a quality 2, and wherever they finish is where they start from 11th position down. But whoever finishes 10th in this first race will be on pole for the second.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that. The thing I really like is I feel like you get more of a mix of battling when you have that reverse grid. I mean, yes, it is a little bit more chaotic because you have those faster drivers behind, but it also gives those guys 11th and back a chance to maybe get a little bit of screen time in. And I mean, who doesn't like that?
There is that too. And as somebody who's been in that 11th position, it's really quite nice to have everybody in front of you at the start of the race just sort of drive away because they're all faster than you. It leaves you a space to drive into, and so you only have to worry about getting past rather than about passing anyone or running into anyone by outbraking yourself.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that opportunity. I was more of a midfield, but I mean, from what I've seen, it does get pretty exciting rather quickly. We'll see who can manage. We have this first race coming up, and then we'll have second round of qualifying, and then we'll go into that second 30-minute race. We'll be here a little bit longer than normal, but we'll have a nice bye week coming up after this, so drivers will have a little bit extra time to prepare for the third race of the season, which, if I remember correctly, is Bathurst?
I thought it was Kyalami. We probably both should have checked our notes.
No, it is probably Kyalami. You might be right. I am going to check right now.
There's an enduro event between now and then as well, the 12-hour, and I'm not sure where that is.
No, it's going to be... Oh, it is Kyalami, you're right. We actually don't race at Bathurst this season. I can't wait for it to be... Hopefully the drivers... I'm so close. hopefully the drivers get to choose or vote for Bathurst for the last race of the season. Hint, hint.
The last time we, because I was one at the time, were given the option, we overwhelmingly voted Laguna Seca. So we
Okay, I
clearly
would take
cannot be
Laguna
trusted.
Seca. You know what? No, I'd take Laguna Seca. That's also a really good option.
That was a really enjoyable race.
It's racing there is always so much fun, especially at the or the corkscrew. Excuse me. I'm just like, I'm gonna probably miss this mark, and then you hit it perfectly. You're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's any track where you can only see where you're going half the time has got my vote. I love blind corners, blind crests. I love all of it. You got to trust your memory and trust your muscle memory to put you in the right spot. And when you get it wrong, it's horrible. But at least here, in a lot of places here, you can get it wrong and just go for a long slide across the grass to think about your mistake. But there's only a few places where the wall's real close.
You know, I think we have two different opinions on blind corners, but, you know, you can have yours and I can have mine. Right now, though, we are getting to the end of qualifying. Skylar Loverink has increased that gap. It's a 57.68 for the 52. Landry is still out on track. I think he just finished up. He did, so he'll be P2. Same with Clifford. He's in third. Augusto is in fourth. Carpenter gets around last week's podium sitter for a 5th place, but Freitas might be on a pretty good improvement. He has the time, and he has the not much of a gap to work with, though. It's only, you can look at the timing sheet, it's just about a 1/10 of a second, and he's got a couple of tenths up. So we'll right on board with the 88. This would be, he might actually pick up 4th position if this is really a stellar lap. He is just coming through Luffield right now. I just talked about it earlier. It's one of my least favorite corners. I never know where that second apex really is, but out of it he goes onto the start-finish straight. The Delta's looking good. He's going to cross the line, and he goes straight to pole position. Okay. That
68 thousandths of a second. That's less than the blink of an eye. That is impressive.
Wow.
However, Loverink is still out. I believe they're still out on track.
No, Loverink is in the pit lane right now. Wow. I completely just missed the possibility of pole position for Freitas. That's insanity.
That's a case of just biting down on the bridle and going. You're right. They just got faster and faster as the lap went on.
Yeah. Well, it's a great race 1 start already for the Brazilian driver. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing, of course, my favorite thing. And I can already tell that I think someone's livery didn't load. I would like to apologize again, because sometimes the livery manager doesn't really work. Sometimes it kind of does its own thing. But I'm sure Loverink will give me some photo opportunities with the livery soon enough. But we're getting ready for race number 1. Matheus Freitas, last second lunge for pole position, and he's going to try to convert that to a 1. He was 3rd last time out, so I think first would be a very good improvement. Loverink has to get relegated to P2 on the grid. The second row belonging to McLaren, as Austin Carpenter and Michael Landry line up 3rd and 4th respectively. Just behind them, the second Lamborghini, Jonathan Clifford, a very lethal driver here in North America, so he's going to try to make things work. At Augusto, 27 Porsche lines up 6th. It's Kenneth Portis keeping that Honda high in position number 7, and then Brian Rasco rocking the stars and stripes here at Silverstone. Not the first time they've had to see those colors flying over their skies, but hey, it's always good to do it again. Then it's Joe Bandera and Andrew Wilson rounding out your top 10. A couple more Clarence, and of course that Gulf livery looking amazing. Eduardo Sanchez, P11 for him. Chris Friz is going to be right behind him. Position 12, Larry Lanham in the Ferrari has gotten P12 or P13 for his troubles. And then it's Tim Brook, the hometown hero, in the 404 BMW. Dan Fernandez 15th with Darren Wicks in the Tron Audi will be 16th. The 9th row of the grid, Jake Battle. Battle's a little bit better there than Austin Shirley. That's going to be 17 and 18 for both of those guys. Dave Hasser in Kevin's favorite liveried Ferrari is going to line up 19th, with Hernandez just beside. The BMW will be 20th. Then it's Adonique Stapleton with the best delivery on the grid is 21st. And, oh, we're doing this again. The 310.
Is this Tchaikovsky?
Tchaikovsky, thank you, Tchaikovsky. I'm gonna at some point I'm gonna get this right every single time. Then it's Xavier Eaton, Jacob Poller, Anthony Montoya, and Edson Martinez is gonna do a little bit of pub racing last to first, maybe, as he lines up 26th on the grid. You can hear that the cars are rumbling, so that means we are within that 30 seconds of driving before we get into things. Of course, a shout out to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 16 of the Sprint Series out of Melbourne, Australia. We've talked about these guys so many times over the course of these broadcasts, servicing all of Australia and New Zealand with some of the best sim racing equipment you can get. Anything you can think of, I guarantee you they're going to have it in stock. And if you're like me and Kevin, you live outside of that, well, if you send them an email, they'd be more than happy to give you some business. And if you're our Patreon members, you guys are going to get 5% off your in-store purchases, so do take advantage of that. So thank you again to Simrigs for sponsoring another season of the Sprint Series. Drivers right now on the way out, single file, getting the tires and the brakes warmed up here for this first of two 30-minute races here. Kevin, predictions. What do we got?
I'm going to just say something else instead, because I think you may have been had, Nick, because I think if you look at the livery that you think didn't load, I believe there's some writing on the wing, the rear wing. And there are some decals and such.
Well,
so I'm wondering, I'm wondering if somebody didn't send you a perfectly blank livery.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm not seeing anything.
The earlier decals are there, all the stock stuff is there.
It's,
maybe not.
I mean, if you've got a screenshot of it, if you want to just send that to me real quick, I'll take a gander.
Oh, I just saw writing on the top of the rear wing, and I thought it was something, but apparently that's just stock. So pardon me.
Well.
Oh, I thought you'd been had most fiercely, but the good part is it means I've avoided having to make a prediction.
No, you need a prediction, Kevin. Let's go. Chop chop.
A prediction. I predict this will be the only sprint 30-minute race all weekend so far that goes incident-free.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. That is a bold prediction. Well, I may have to disagree. Well, I mean, if you think about it, somebody somewhere is going to get a jump better than the other, and it's gonna kick off. I don't know if it's gonna be at Cops, but at the very least, somebody somewhere is going off. I would not be surprised if it was at Maggots and Beckett's, to be realistic, simply because of the nature of those corners.
Well, what we've seen over the most of the week so far is it can happen anywhere in that first lap and a half. This track, again, the speeds that you're going mid-corner, if there is just the slightest touch, you might save it somewhere else, but you're probably not going to save it here.
No, it'd be a miracle if you did that. But right now, last couple drivers catching up to the grid. We're on the Wellington Straight at the moment, heading into Brooklands and Luffield, and we'll get this race going. Any predictions in the chat? If you've got them, throw them on there. We'll see who's right and we'll see who's wrong once the dust settles for race number one. But of course, we do have another bit of racing to do here. Freitas is going to be on the outside for turn number one. Or sorry, no, he'll be on the inside, excuse me. So he should have advantage into the Cops corner. Everyone else, it is 2 by 2. Of course, no more time to warm up brakes and tires. Probably getting yelled at by race control to close those gaps up a little bit. And they are doing just that in the background. Andrew Wilson, 10th position for the Gulf Racing McLaren. He's got Sanchez right beside him. Another McLaren driver. A lot of British manufacturers and a lot of German manufacturers. It almost makes you wonder, how does history repeat itself? But we cross that start-finish line. We are not quite green just yet. Under the banner we go. And As we trundle up a little bit more, it's green, green, green here at Silverstone. It's going to be a great getaway for the front two and the two just behind as we head into turn number 1. The two McLarens doing side-by-side battle, and it is going to be Skylar Loverink that does take advantage. He is going to go straight into front position. As we head through Maggots and Beckett's, you're going to see just how much these drivers are going to be risking across these corners. There's already a little bit of a gap, actually, for the 52 as we head onto the hangar straight. You can see the train behind. There's a yellow flag out. Someone may have gone off. We are going to be getting into the thick of things. Eduardo Sanchez is sitting behind a few of the other competitors. The Ferrari up ahead, McLaren as well. A lot of those little Hondas, some Lamborghinis, some Porsches. Everybody's trying to just get these cars up into those optimal windows as quickly as humanly possible. And now we head into Vale up towards Club, but for the most part, Kevin, it's been a pretty good start. I don't think we lost anybody.
So far, so good. This is solid racing. These cars are not easy to drive on the first lap.
No, and in the background, that's the Aston Martin of Haller, and I saw one of the Porsches, I think it was Tchaikovsky, it was, going out.
Oh, that's too bad. Just as we were talking about it, let's see what happens here. Oh. And then the luckiest driver in the race so far, that green and black car that went between them. Yeah, but that's unfortunate. That's a little bit of 2 into 1 there. There was a lot going on. Unfortunately, they're at the back of the field. Fortunately, they've still got 28 minutes left.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's an early retirement for Haller, so he's out of the session, and Tchaikovsky is in the pits. I think he's going to be in there for quite a while, but as we get the first lap done, it's actually Austin Shirley. Oh, no, not kidding. Not Austin Shirley. It's still Loverik in the lead. ACC things. It says that Shirley has an extra lap up, so I'm confused as to why that is. I'm not quite certain, and hopefully Race Control will have some answer for us. We did see Austin Carpenter and Landry going side by side, and Landry with more troubles on the way because Jonathan Clifford's starting to get a bit of a run here, and they're going side by side.
Oh, this is decision time right there, under braking, as to whether you're going to go forward or not. Well done, both sides of that. Might pay the price by letting an extra Porsche by, but no, they get back in line, and status quo except for the quick change.
Yeah, Clifford just parked it right there on the inside. He had the run, and he made a perfect little bit of conversion off of that. Speaking of conversion, it's Joe Bandera, the lone amateur class driver sitting in the top 10 right now, is battling with Andrew Wilson, the 91, the two McLarens side by side, almost making contact, and just behind them it is Lanham and Sanchez, and even Brook to some regard trying to get in on this. And we're almost having 3 wide, and Sanchez is going to back out of that one. Brook with a late lunge into the corner is going to get the job done. Out of the loop. And now, down Wellington, is there going to be a counterattack from Sanchez?
This is super sprint racing. There's no time to waste it. You got to go now. They've been exceptionally respectful of each other so far. Our only real incident, I think, can seriously be called an incident. But it's these guys are flying, no holds barred, but also great respect.
Absolutely, that's the one thing I love about this series is the amount of respect drivers are having for each other. Even those that are relatively new to the scene, they're still making sure that the new guys are, getting their experience in, and the older guys are just kind of doing their thing. Everybody's, getting through it. But we have had a pretty solid start, and for some reason, Austin Shirley, who is behind Darren Wicks, is still listed as P1. Because I'm looking, because you can see right now, it says he's got 3 laps up, and the problem is that we're not that far in. Everybody else has 2 laps. Loverink's on 2, and he's leading the race by already a pretty sizable margin, 1.6.
That is a fair amount in the first 5 minutes. I mean, it's one good wiggle, but still a really good start. And shout out to the Tron car. This gives me an opportunity to make an apology. I burned the wrong person last week. It was not, in fact, Darren here who was about to be pushed to pro, and I argued that they had picked this car to avoid that. It was somebody completely different. So my apologies to Darren. I love, and in response to that, I absolutely love this livery. Absolutely, Tron is just it's my world. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, good on you, Kevin. Good job for taking responsibility, accountability for your actions. Solely missed, it seems sometimes with certain people, but good on you. It is a fantastic livery. It looks absolutely amazing, and it kind of reminds me of one of your liveries from seasons past.
Yeah, I was waiting. Thank you for the setup. We did not set this up before. Guess who did the livery that you like so much?
Darren Wicks.
So not only did I burn the wrong person last week, I burned a person that did one of the best liveries I've ever had the pleasure of driving last week. So double level apologies there.
Nice. Good job, Kevin. On that note, we are getting the first round of pit stops in.
Yes.
Carpenter, Augusto, Wilson, and Sanchez coming in just about 6 or 7 minutes into this first race. Now, hopefully, that's interesting. That's a little bit early. Oh, but I don't think this is... I think it's just for fuel. I think we don't need tires because, yeah, Carpenter, Augusto, Wilson, and Sanchez, they're all cleared, and they've only been in there for not that long. So I think it is just... fuel.
Fuel only, 1 liter minimum. So they have stopped about long enough to not even go up on the jacks. I think it's a third of a second for 1 liter, something like that. And that's what's going to be interesting in this, because they're not changing tires. They're using the same tires for the whole 30 minutes. So it kind of doesn't matter when you stop. So if you're being held up, you can get in now, get it out of the way. Hopefully you come out. It's a fairly long track. Hopefully you come out in some space and make some time. On the other hand, if you're on clean track now, you could run till the 25-minute mark almost, just before the end of the pit window, and come in then. So even though it's a super sprint race, there is still, because no tires, there's still strategy.
Yep, it shakes things up a bit. You know, we see with the regular sprint, the hour, people will just cut that right in half. But with this double 30, you have to, think like, okay, like you said, Kevin, what's the strategy looking like? Are you being held up? Are you, are you in a position where, are you undercutting? Are you overcutting? What's the call? So for some drivers, this might be maybe a little bit of ember thrown into the mix, but for other drivers, this might be stress city, as we saw Rasco and Lanham come into the pit lane. So these guys getting their, I would just say, drip feed of fuel in.
Yeah, it's 1 liter is the setting. The entry to this pit lane is deceptive. It is very, very easy. There's a great example there. Thank you, whoever that was. It is very, very easy to get it very, very wrong. Yeah, I've seen people spin on the entrance to this pit lane. So,
wow, spinning,
but
that's
managed
nice.
to get that. See how long they're actually still for. Oh, that's damage. They've been there longer than they need to be for 1 liter of fuel, I think.
Well, it might be just a little bit of contact damage. The car looks fine, so yeah, maybe just grabbing the hammer a bit, just hitting the hood down, getting back out there. Martinez rolling out of the pit lane. Lanham's out there as well. Sanchez is sitting at the back of the grid. Still Austin Shirley leading, quote unquote, the race, but it is realistically it is Loverink. And that gap 1.8, it hasn't actually cleared up as quickly, or grown as quickly rather, as it seemed to at the start, because he just bolted immediately. But Freitas has stayed within, has actually gained about a tenth. So this Ferrari is not going to give up that easily.
I wonder, every time I see this, I always wonder how much they're playing the win by the minimum amount game. You don't get bonus points for winning by a minute. It looks good, but you get the same number of points if you win by 5 seconds, and you don't have to break your car and put yourself to the limit that whole time. So I always wonder. We'll see if when when, I'm sure, Freitas starts applying some pressure. We'll see how Lovering responds.
Yeah, Lovering might be waiting for that, actually. I wouldn't be surprised, because he tends to strategize, I'd say, a smidge more than most, because he is very much in the realm of I need to figure things out and then react accordingly. Speaking of which, reacting accordingly, Montoya getting out of the way of both Rasco and Augusto. Does not want to hold those guys up. He's recognized that they're quicker, and in the world of surviving the race, sometimes it is just better to let those guys go, especially because both of them have cleared, or actually I think all of, or no, it's Montoya that hasn't cleared a pit stop yet.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do as a race driver. You want to defend every corner, but if they're that much faster than you, whether you're going a lap down, already a lap down, or just slower, what I saw there was somebody who let two people pass them without losing more than a couple of tenths in the process. So they've not ruined their own race, but they've still let the people that are racing up at the front by without any challenges or difficulties.
Yeah, that's a skill that you can only learn by doing it. There's no,
you
know, you can sit there and watch this YouTube video and that YouTube video, but until you actually put yourself in that position, it's all pretty much just lukewarm material.
Yeah, and the heart's pumping and the sweat's running down your face, and you're trying to convince yourself this is just a game, but it doesn't change anything. And it's, yeah, all part of the fun.
I agree. That's a very, very good point. And you know, some people will take things seriously. I mean, everyone here, of course, takes sim racing very seriously. That's why they're still, you know, in this league. But it's all part of the ecosystem, really.
And we're very, very lucky here at OOR that we've got really some of the best drivers. If you look at our AP series, the NA series, the Europe series, the top drivers in this series are making a name for themselves as racers in a lot of places and in a lot of series and driving a lot of cars. So we're lucky enough to have that talent pool to draw from and learn from, because the Discord is amazingly supportive in that way.
Oh yeah, all sorts of channels for whatever you might need for any sim racing game. You know, we've got it. And Sanchez, huge dive down the inside there. Eaton, I think, getting out of the way of that and almost losing the tail end on both of them. Eaton,
not done yet.
Okay, Eaton, he is eating right now. The whole plate left no crumbs. Kept the Porsche under control. That was a solid little bit of drifting, giving us some fun here as we get towards 17 minutes remaining. Jake Battle has gone into the pit lane for that mandatory stop. Again, just a drop of fuel. That is all it takes. Normally when we do the mandatory stops, you're looking at one full set of tires, but because it is two 30-minute races here tonight, they just got to put in one little bit of fuel and get back out there. If you want to do anything else, that is up to you.
Absolutely, and the damage model in the game is such that for the most part, you're not going to repair the damage. If it's that bad, you're going to come in during the race. You're not going to wait till your pit stop, with your regularly scheduled pit stop, shall we say. But for the most part, you can take quite a bit of damage, especially on a track that doesn't count on top speed like this one, and still function. So you're almost, no matter what, you're taking 1 liter of fuel and go.
That is going to be the name of the game here tonight. So it almost works like your regular pub race, except it's 10 minutes longer and you actually have to go into the pit lane. Right now, we join Joel Bandera, who is behind the number 84 Honda of Kenneth Portis. A little slide there is going to lose 70 some time, but look at this. 2 amateur class drivers sitting in the top 10 right now. Of course, this is due to no pit stops, but it is maybe a sign of things to come, because we did have one amateur class driver in the top 10 earlier on in the race, so we'll see if that holds up. Brian Rasco and Edar Augusto having a bit of a spat over position 14, tries to get the power down early, the 27, but just slides out, so he's going to lose some time there. Rasco will say thank you very much. He'll take every little bit of row he can get, and he does hold on to position 14 for the time being, and just behind there is Andrew Wilson, just trying to peek above the rear wing. There he is. So he's just waiting. Maybe something happens, maybe not. Eaton's in the pit lane, and Stapleton.
Oh yeah, that's halfway through, 15 minutes. This is where you start going, I've got 8 laps left. I need to do something now, especially when you're this close. These two have been fighting for a while. You're watching the guy behind you close up, and you're watching the group ahead of you get further and further away. So it's getting down to, pardon me, excuse me, coming through time.
Well, sometimes it's just every time if you really think about it, depending on how you want to, depending on your mindset, it could be every moment of every day. But for these guys, no, it's very much just, just survive and then at some point make the move. Bandera tries to do that to Portis around the outside just before Wellington, but it does not pan out all too well. So some of these corners, I mean, when you have things, like especially here at Luffield, I mean, it's so important to get the exit right coming onto the front straight, because it feels like no matter how much room you have here at this old airfield, you never have enough room to actually get up to the speeds you want before you get to another corner.
Yeah, and the other thing about this particular instance here is, I can tell you, following a Honda is a soul-breaking thing, because every time you come out of a corner, you go, I got that perfect, and they still pull away.
Yep, that's why the BOP existed, and then now we're not running it because we don't have one, because we use the LFM one, but soon enough we will, and Portis may be singing a different tune.
Well, to be fair, the one that is currently in place from Kunos has got us with a wide spread of cars in the top 10. We do not have that layering that we had last week. It was a little more obvious last week, but maybe it's the track, maybe it's the drivers, maybe it's the cars, but we do have a nice spread in the top 10 this week.
Bandera.
And, wow, that's putting a chicane where there wasn't one before.
He's getting a little racy because he knows that he's got pace, but he's either just getting a corner slightly incorrectly or sliding in that case, or just getting the power down too early, because there's been the last few corners when we've checked in where the number 70 has just, you can just watch the front end just turn a little too much. And
yeah, they're holding that wheel tight. They might be using their teeth by this point. They're getting ready. There's going to be a move one way or another. They've still got almost 13 minutes, but yeah, I can smell Predator over in that particular relationship right now.
Andrew Wilson's starting to close up, actually. Augusto and Rasco, all this fighting they're doing has held them back. Rasco's last lap, a 59.9, a 50, or 59.2, excuse me, and then a 59.19 for Augusto, and then a 58.56 for Wilson. So if this keeps up, as Augusto goes wide, tries to cut back early, tries to get under Rasco, it doesn't work out. I don't know if he maybe ran over something slippery or just missed his break point, but now that puts the gaps at roughly 0.7 to each, from Rasco to Augusto, Augusto to Wilson. So 2 McLarens, a Porsche in the middle, and Montoya picks up a drive-through. How do these three get along?
So far so good, but there's still a couple car lengths between them, so we'll see as we get closer. This track is, we talk about being in the draft in a lot of tracks, and that is to some extent works here, but what you really get here is dirty air. These high-speed corners, that 0.7 seconds that normally is a real benefit on the straightaway, will make the front end of your car awfully wiggly in turns like this.
But just look at how Wilson attacks Maggots and Beckett's. It's expert. As there's I think a little bit of a twitch up front from Rasco. Now it is on the hanger. And side by side, Augusto's thinking about it. He's going to have a lot of work to do around the outside at Stowe corner. He fires it later on the brakes. Can he get the move done as we come out of the corner? He's going to run it wide off the track. And he's going to have the inside line coming up here for Vale. And does Rasco do the same thing? He's on the outside. Now he's on the inside. The side-by-side continues. There's Andrew Wilson pulling into the scene. He's got a front row seat to this. The 27 runs out wide. Rasco holds on to P10. But for how long into Abbey we go? It's a slide there. The Porsche, it's held somehow. Augusto, everything he's got. Wilson waiting for an opportunity. It's going to be cut across there. Wilson, he wants this. He knows it. The weakness is showing itself. The pressure's building. Trying to get as much out of his McLaren as possible, but it's just not going to happen yet as we head onto the Wellington Straight again. Wilson so close to this position.
They are, like I said, within a car length now. Now it's that that time where there's no, when that happens, there's very little chance to react. Luckily, they were a little on the outside already, but these guys are all driving right at the limit, and yeah, it's so far so good.
Speaking of limits, Augusto right out to the edge of the green, almost onto the dirt there. And him and Rasco were just right at each other's throats there. It was funny, their last laps, not this one they just completed, the one prior, 5 thousandths of a second between the both of them. So that just goes to show you how quick they are. But of course, the battling is just added on a couple seconds to all 3 of their laps. A 2-minute .27 for Rasco, 2-minute .43 for Augusto, 2-minute .33 for Andrew Wilson. And right now, Rasco's taking full advantage of that, because you can see the gap differences between Rasco, Augusto, and then Augusto and Wilson. So the Brazilian is starting to struggle.
And Rasco has got to be telling himself, just hit every mark, just hit every mark, just hit every mark. Oops.
As I say that.
There's a little, yeah. You know, like we said, somebody's going to make a move. That one, I don't know whether it was an accident, you know, they just sort of overbrake themselves, or whether they thought there was something there. Luckily, there was no damage, and nobody's times were hindered except for their own.
Yep, and we were just talking about how well they were all racing. Did I call the clean? I did call the clean start earlier, right? Didn't I do that? And then we had the incident. All right, so wow, 2 for 1. Great, I got to make up for last week. All right, place your bets. Do I do it again in race 2? Probably. Right now, well, Landry, Portis, pit lane, Clifford, Freitas have not.
Yeah, they've got 3 minutes left to get in. You've got to be in before 5 minutes to go. So probably this upcoming lap. In fact, it would have to be. I don't think there's no way they're going to get around.
No, definitely
more
not.
Than that. And, yeah.
Well, they have just started another lap, so in about a minute and a half or so, we should get our answer. Sage in chat says yes. Sage says that I will commentators curse again in race 3. Thank you for having faith in me. I appreciate you. But
I'll start a new thing, the commentator's blessing. I said good things about them, and so far, for the most part, they've been pretty good. So I'll take credit for their skill. I like the way this works.
All right, I mean, you're Canadian. You guys are nice by, like, just stereotypically, so it kind of makes sense that you're just like, yep, we're gonna be nice. You'll be nice. I'll be mean. Life goes on. That's that. I don't know. Jake Battle, Austin Shirley. Again, just to update everybody, Austin Shirley, as far as we know, is not leading this race because the lap counter is messed up. I don't know what exactly it was. Shirley did not start on pole position. That was Freitas, so I don't know what went down behind the scenes, but pretty much everybody else is a lap down. Austin Shirley has 12 laps done, and Freitas, who's in second, has 11 laps done as he comes into the pit lane, and so does Clifford. So perfect timing on that one.
Well, that was a very exciting in-lap for Freitas. They fought awfully hard with a car that was in their path. To have to do that and then dive to the pit lane, necessary, but probably a bit frustrating. But they do have a couple seconds now to sort of draw a breath and hopefully come out into some empty air and have a good race to the end.
Yep, we'll see just how many spots they lose. Lovering should retake the lead here. Right now we check in Chris Frizza, Eduardo Sanchez for position 12, and then Larry Lanham even is stalking these two in the background, and there it is. Frizza goes through on Eduardo, and Sanchez, or sorry, not Sanchez, excuse me, Sanchez gets dove by Lanham, seizing the opportunity. And the Mexican driver's got it. Just everybody's doing moves right now. So for Lanham, excuse me, that was a ballsy move, but it paid off. And now he does have Frizza eyed up, and Clifford picking up a stop-go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. I thought he went in a little bit hot there. It looked like he had a little too much speed going in.
Well, we talked about it earlier, how easy that is to do, but briefly back to Lanham, credit where credit is due. Leading our Pro-Ams today. That's the Pro-Am field is strong, so good on him for staying in front of those guys.
Yeah, the second placed Pro-Am is Hasser down in 16th and Wicks down in 17th, so being up in 13th is pretty good. Right now he has to go defensive as Sanchez getting a bit of that slipstream. Heading down into Stowe corner. Oh, the Mexican almost on the inside quarter panel there. It is dodged in terms of contact. Frizza now, I think, a little slow as we head into Vale.
These guys are... Everybody's just on the edge. Neither the front or the rear of any of these cars is sticking to the road.
If everybody is oversteering, then nobody's oversteering. I think that's how
fair,
it goes,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. If you have a significant amount of understeer and oversteer, we can call that balanced.
Which Ferrari F1 car was that again? I forget. I know there's one of them that was somehow understeering and oversteering at the same time, but I'm sure that's a little known fact. Oh, Bandera picks up a drive-through, and Hernandez a stop-go 30? What in the world? That is a very delayed penalty. I wonder what that's for.
Track limits is a thing here, but is that a stop-go 30?
No, that's a drive-through.
It's the drive-through.
Drive-through
so
is
maybe
always,
Bandera's got that.
Track limits is always a drive-through, so I'm surprised. Stop-go 30 is for the is for speeding in the pit lane. I don't think did Hernandez go in recently? I don't think he did. No, he's been out there for a while, because if he had just come out of the pit lane, then yeah, but I didn't see. I thought he already cleared his pit stop a while ago.
Yeah, that one's odd. Unfortunately, yeah, we don't know exactly what happened there, but hopefully we can get that cleared up after the race.
Well, we know that Banderas is, well, that's probably on target, and same with Clifford's, at least. Those are automatic. If I remember correctly, the way the game looks at how the speeding in the pit lane works, it's the rear axle of the car, so you get a little bit of extra space to play with, but it's really not that much.
Yeah, it's so easy to lock up on the way in there. As we saw earlier, you can understeer and almost hit that outside wall. You don't hit your pit limiter in time, and there's that horrible moment where you see it coming. And
Yep.
The thing is, this close to the end of the race, they don't actually have to serve those penalties because you've got 3 laps to serve one. If you finish the race within that time, it's added on as an extra time penalty.
Yes. So, well, we'll see what the call is from these guys. Law in chat telling us the Ferrari F14. Yes, that was
14.
definitely one of the Ferraris of all time. Let's check. We'll check back up front here. It is Jonathan Clifford right now, 5th position. Austin Carpenter's behind, but 30-second stop-go hanging over his head. I highly doubt he'll go in to serve it. Like you said, Kevin, it's really just, it's not going to be worth it at this stage of the race. We should be coming on to the final lap. We should be on the final lap if we're going off of Loverink. If we're going off of Shirley, we still have one more to go. So I'm still trying to figure out how this is going to get figured out, because someone somewhere has been on the radio probably trying to do the same thing that we're doing.
Well, one thing I just realized is that Clifford, in spite of the stop-go 30, also managed to lose 3 positions in the pits. They were running right behind Freitas at the front. I guess Loverink came back out, but still, they've managed to lose at least 1 position in the pits and get a stop-go 30. So, not quite sure what happened there, but that is one of those moments you go and watch the replay to see what you did.
Yeah. And even then, it's still just a lot of sand in your drink at the end of the day. So there's going to be a second race, though, to figure it out as we get under a minute to go here. Austin Shirley has started another lap, so this should be it. Next time we come around, I'll make sure to keep note of that. Where would Shirley be in all of this? I'm trying to figure out. There's a Porsche behind. I believe that's Jake Battle. It is. So this would be 17th. For Shirley, which means everyone else would get moved up 1. Bandera is serving the drive-through right at the end. I guess that's probably better to do in his case. Just get that out of the way and then not worry About it?
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Oh
Well,
no.
there you have it. But we'll
I
worry
know that.
about we'll worry
Oh
about
dear.
the technicalities later. Right now, we have to look at Wilson, who did put a move on to Brasco just a moment ago, and that's position 9 for the 91. And just up ahead, it is Portis and Augusto still locked together.
Oh, last lap.
Oh, and Clifford's doing the stop go 30. Be careful, be careful. There we go.
They had the light on before they got to the lens. The flashing lights, they should be fine. I wonder if that was their third lap and they had to do it.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Well, let's see
They
what
might
happens.
also end up crossing the line in pit lane, which I'm not sure how that works either.
I don't know if it counts. He's past the line, though. Clifford's well past the line. If we go to Helicam, the start-finish line is way, way back, so he's fine. Fernandez coming in for some reason. This is surprising. I'm not certain what this is all about. I don't know if this is going to be for fuel. If he underfueled, I'd be surprised, because that's a little tricky to do. But, well, that's basically going to be whatever. Shirley's crossed the line. He's quote-unquote won. But realistically, it is going to be Love Rank, but he still has a little ways to go. Freitas is close enough, but whether or not he's close enough to actually win this race is going to be a bit tricky. Because he's got, what is that, a second to overcome?
That, and at this point, they got to be thinking about the second race. They're going to be starting 10th and 9th, respectively. So they're going to be racing each other some more, but with 8 people in front of them who are, at least technically speaking, slower than they were in the first race.
Yep. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. And of course, if you have a favorite driver who is not inside that top 10, well, whatever position they end up in at the end of qualifying, just add 10 onto it. You'll get their starting position for the second race. But Loverink, out of Luffield, is going to go back-to-back here in race number 1 of 2 this evening at Silverstone. Can he make it 3 in a row? He's going to cross the line, and he's going to get ready for that next race. Freitas just behind is going to move up another spot on the podium to position 2. Landry will get home with P3. Carpenter is going to be 4th, and Portis has held off Augusto beautifully for position number 5. And the Brazilian can take solace in knowing that 6th place is pretty darn good. Andrew Wilson off the road. Is he out of fuel? I think he might be. Let's go on board. Yep, he's out of fuel. There is.
Oh no.
Can we get yeah, it's I think it's showing us. Yeah, well, it's showing us the live shot from his camera, or his pit stall. I think he is out of fuel.
I think that could be, and they've just done the return to pits in a moment of self-regret.
Yep. Well, it still counts him as on track right now, so he is going to lose some positions off of this. Jonathan Clifford will be way down here. This is position 16 for him. That's going to be rough. We're just waiting on Fernandez, the only driver who's still yet to be, I guess, scored. And Hernandez picks up a full minute because of his penalty.
And unfortunately, we were right regarding Bandera. There was a DSQ there, probably for 2 speeding in the pit lanes.
Does that disqualify you if you speed in the pit lane twice?
I believe so.
I have never had that happen to me. Okay, I'm still learning things. But, well, someone else is learning something today, unfortunately, in the worst way possible.
But even they've got that chance. Reset. You've got a couple minutes now. Go out, do a fresh quali, start over, and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I mean, or not Brasco, excuse me. It was all right. So let's look at the. We're gonna have to figure this out, because this is a little tricky due to the display. I want to look at this. So we said Shirley would be down in like position 17 because Battle was behind him. So that would make Loverink, Freitas, Landry, Carpenter, Portis, Augusto, Rasco, Brooks, Sanchez, and Friza your top 10. So everybody else is going out. Shout out to Fernandez, though, for being the best of the M's.
And Friza gets to start on pole.
Well, if you're Frieza, that's exactly what you
If
want.
that works. So yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Um,
uh,
First one out. We
yeah.
are. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say before we get to that, we've got some qualifying for those that finished 11th to the back of the pack.
We do. Yep, we've lost a couple drivers in the meantime. Not Leffering,
Oh,
excuse me. Clifford is the first one out, 7.5 minutes. So we're only going to be getting a few laps before we head into the next race. I am willing to bet that if I were to hop into, I don't think I can, but if I could, hop into the North American Sprint Series voice channel, people are probably asking about 30 million questions over the course of 6 seconds.
well, all those questions may well distract him from the fact that the track is currently greasy. I'm not sure how that happened, but that's what it
Well, if
says
you
on screen.
well, if you, at the end of obviously these races are taking place in game at separate times. Right at the end of the race, the clouds started coming in, so I'm assuming between then and in game now, there may have been some rain. This is the UK after all. I don't think they know what sunshine is. So it's going to fast. So yeah, there must have been some off-screen precipitation between the checkered flag and the start of qualifying.
Which begs us to ask the question. It says no rain in 30, but there's still 6 minutes before that makes, that's important. I would love to see a bit of rain at Silverstone just for effect and the fact that I'm not driving this week.
And also because we have to check all of the British boxes off and rain is on there.
Yes.
But let's take a little bit of onboard here with Jonathan Clifford in the 999 Lamborghini. This is one of the best drivers here in North America. As he crosses the line now, he is going to be starting his flying lap. A little break at the 50 board before Cobbs, a slight downshift will set you up beautifully for exit, and then we head into Maggots and Beckett's. This is one of the sets of corners on this circuit that looks deceptively easy. It's a little bit of acceleration, then a little bit of braking, then a downshift, and a little bit of acceleration, a little bit of braking, and a little bit of downshift. Do that multiple times over, but he heads out onto the hanger straight underneath the bridge as he goes up towards Stowe Corner. Almost, I think a little bit over 100-something degree. I don't know the exact mathematics behind it, but it is certainly better than a 90, and that'll bring him. This is where the F1 guys will line up. If you remember this little set of corners here at Vale, Hamilton getting 2 overtakes in one corner is certainly an incredible move, as this is that start-finish straight right there. That goes up into Abbey. This circuit's turn 1 official. Right-hander, another slight downshift, you can hear it, and now we go into the village chicane. This is one of the most frustrating parts of the circuit to get right. It's the slowest part. It's such tight turning. You almost feel like you're not turning enough. You feel like you need a little bit more grip, a little bit more downforce, and it's just one of the corners that takes far more time, in my opinion, to get right than I am willing to admit. But Clifford, no problems there at the little left-hand board there. Goes down to third, and then it's into Luffield. The double apex, you're kind of on the gas, you're kind of not, and then you're doing some other weird things, but running it out wide as much as you can, and then you gotta cut across the inside as well. Gotta be careful of track limits. They do exist there, but Clifford is gonna be setting the first lap time, a 1 minute 57.97.2 for him. And we have no response from anybody else right now. Hasser is out on circuit. Hernandez, Lanham battles Stapleton, Fernandez, Wilson, Wicks, Bandera, and Eaton, and Shirley.
Yeah, this is kind of fun too for the drivers because there's 10 less cars out there, so there's some space. You can actually, make sure that you're not running anywhere near anybody. Not only do you not have to worry about them slowing you down or you slowing them down, you don't even have to worry about looking for them.
Yeah.
You can find a space like Clifford has done here all by yourself, and you might as well have the whole track to yourself. So it's a nice feeling when you're trying to go fast.
Absolutely. Stapleton right now coming out of that final corner. This is going to be setting another time here. Enough for P7. Jake Battle behind. will set P6, and you can see the difference in speed here. Before we had maybe a tenth or two between pole and second place, but with Clifford being in the mix here, it's 7 tenths, and then 3 tenths down to third, and then almost a full second from Bandera to Wick. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how good some of these guys can be when you put them in a position like this.
And it's this is what the reverse grid's all about. In this case, it was because of an incident in the first race. But not only do we get to watch some fast folks come from 10th back to first, we're also going to get a chance to watch probably Jonathan Clifford come from 11th back up to the front.
I mean, that seems right up his alley, though. I don't think he's ever had an instance where he's been outside the top 10. But at the very least, I mean, he is, week in, week out, season after season, he is one of the drivers that you absolutely have to look out for as he goes even faster with the 66. So a full second ahead of Andrew Wilson now. He's just, I mean, this is just classical, you know, this is going into like any multiplayer game and running into a Smurf. Just someone who's so far ahead of where you are that it almost seems like cheating at times, or it's just unfair. Not that I'm accusing anybody, of course.
No. Of course. I think part of this has got to be, too, he's, I mean, stop and go 30, that's speeding in the pit lane. You got to be kicking yourself for that. So maybe a little, I don't want to say driving mad, but maybe driving frustrated or with a point to make. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that might be, I would say so, because it's almost, it feels just, when you get it, it's, you know, it feels like such a stupid thing that you're doing. And for Clifford to go from that high up to that far down because of his penalty, that's just not what he wants. We're regularly seeing him, if not the top 5, then at least the top 10. So this is a chance for him to, you know, take that frustration out and get himself reset for race number 2, because he may have an easier time, hopefully, with this reverse grid, because he's going to be running with some of the faster guys. So maybe if they get caught up, there could be an opening he can take advantage of.
Yeah, exactly. I was in my head, I just realized it's almost like we're doing reverse top 11. He definitely belongs in that group that we'd be flipping. So it's just like it's one more person we're going to get to watch go fast. And with the respect they showed each other in the first race, go fast and not run into each other, I will say boldly.
I agree with that. And as we get to the end of qualifying here, Clifford's still going faster. He's got a 10th up on the Delta as he comes out of Woodcote and crosses the line, and that's going to be a 57.55. If he was 200 slower, it'd be a nice little bit of double, a little bit of poker there. Wilson is in P2 with that 58.39. Bandera is on an improvement, and he is not the closest. It's actually Hernandez, who has a little over half a second. He's sitting towards the bottom of this qualifying group. Eaton goes 11th, Appleton is 10th. Shirley puts in a 9th best performance there, and a little wiggle there for the BMW. Where does this place? Ooh, that looked a little bit sketchy. Is that going to count? Oh, it is going to count. Okay, I thought he was a little too much on the inside.
Well, you can go a long ways in there, and but there is, as you said, there is a limit.
Yep. Bandera sits P3. Jake Battle right now, 7th position, and just ahead of him is Eaton in the fellow Porsche. You know, the simplicity of that livery, I just still like it. I think it looks very nice. It's very, just the white with the black and the little single sliver of red down the middle kind of ties it all together. Battle, though, goes 4th overall. But as I say that, Hernandez decides he wants position 4, so he'll take it. And Battle goes down to 5th. And now we get ready for the second race this evening. And we can do a grid walk, but we'll explain how things go. So, Kevin, the floor is yours.
Oh, the format for this one, the top 10 are just going to flip. The person that finished in 10th is going to start on the pole for this one. You're going to see some cars driving through each other here. Those top 10 are going to pull out through the pack and line up a little further down the straightaway. The rest of them will then pull in the order they qualified. So 11th place will be Clifford, 12th will be Wilson, 13th Bandera, and so on from there down. The other thing that's going to happen is when they come around, when they finish that pace lap and they go green, they don't go green until the number 1 car, in this case Clifford, gets to that point near the start line and triggers the start process. That means that the 10 cars ahead of them are going to be well across the start line before we go live. And
I think
they are in for goes green.
There you go. Yeah, I think the front row should basically be in Cops, or at least just about to go into Cops corner by the time we go green.
Yes, if they keep it nice and tight, that'll be where they are. If it's stretched out a little bit, then that gets even worse. So.
Well, it's going to be up to experience to get the best jump here at the start, and of course the race directors and stewards are going to be doing their thing, trying to make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible. We've got another mandatory pit stop, and if I'm willing to bet on it, I'd say it's just another drop of fuel in the tank.
Yeah, exactly the same as the first race. And the other thing these folks are thinking now, this reverse top 10, yes, you're behind 9 other people and you've only got 30 minutes. 15 laps, 16 laps, and it's all over.
It's gonna be tricky, I think, to get the positions.
So you have, I'm looking forward to it. I have the grid has got 0 times of the graded way is just the respect for any of all these driver drivers, and you're racing with friends environment, so you can't just bin it and go. So yeah.
Kevin speaking at like 8 million miles a second, you lagged out there, and then Discord finally got up.
Oops. Too fast for Discord. That's saying something.
When was the last time we said that? But yeah, basically, yeah, you got a very short amount of time. You got too many people to get through, and then you've got the rest of that time to get sorted out as we get into race number 2 of the reverse qualifying. We'll let the drivers sort that out. One quick shout out to Simrigs again for sponsoring it. I won't go with them too long. I'll make sure to give them one more at the end of the broadcast, but it's just another quick way of saying thank you again, of course, for what Simrigs does for this organization. Of course, the sponsorships are great. We always appreciate it. These lovely folks who are Patreon members, they are going to be getting 5% off your purchases. This hobby not cheap by any means, so do take advantage of that. But we're going to head back out onto circuit right now. The drivers are being called forward to line up, and it is going to be Frizza who is on pole position. Sanchez was behind, and everyone else is going to be getting called up, coming in a little bit hot. But we'll see what race number 2 has in store for us before we get racing.
And it looks like we're away. Now it turns into something much more like a normal pace lap. The rest of them will catch up quite quickly here. And
Portis. There's the.
This is an unfortunately long gap here.
there's the rest of the grid. They're all out. I think we're.
Here
Let's see. If I do a count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. Okay, so I think we just got the rest of the grid.
There we go.
There, everybody's starting to move, so we're going to see all these cars coming through for the awkward pace. You see why these things are a little bit tricky, and of course they are going to be running to catch up to the queue, so there are no penalties being dished out. But we've got some excellent racing coming up here in just a short amount of time, and I believe it's not Stapleton on pole. I think it is Stapleton is way up there. I am not certain what's going on. I don't know if Frizza was the first one up. Yeah, this always
Frizza
causes
should
problems.
be on pole.
This always causes problems.
Well, I don't know what the situation is, but I know we do have there's some first season drivers here tonight, so perhaps there's been a misunderstanding.
Possibly. Hopefully.
Or Kunos is doing things. I don't know.
I might bet on Kunos because they do things, certainly. But I mean, Stapleton's closing up, or slowing down, excuse me. So the rest of the field's going to be lining up, and I believe the 35 will be position number 2, because I think they were the second car out behind Frizza.
Ah, right.
So hopefully someone will get on the radio. Tell Stapleton to fall back into line. But at the very least, Frizza will have pole position for this race. Do you think he converts?
That is a question. From pole, that's a huge advantage. They run in the top 3 on a regular basis. The other 2 that are regularly in the top 3 are well back in the starting order because of the reverse grid. I think they've got the best chance to win this.
Hey, there we go. And Stapleton's back. Going down the grid, maybe saying sorry and heading towards the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frizza's got a lot to do before the end of the race. Sanchez, not someone you can really count out. I know he's more of a, somewhere just outside or within the top 10, but still can be very, very potent, very much an issue as we're trying to sort out the grid. Always tricky. People slowing down, trying to close up gaps, and trying not to sit inside someone else's driver's seat. By the time the checkered flag, or by the time the green flag goes out, my apologies. But like Kevin said earlier, the start is going to be delayed simply because of the true first place, which if it's Stapleton, it's going to be very soon.
That is fair, if they are still up at the front.
Well,
I wonder if perhaps, strange thought, maybe they've done that to allow the start to happen? Nope, it hasn't yet.
No.
So never mind that theory.
But here it is, it's
There
green,
we
and
go.
just before Cop, so I was right. It is going to be Rasco firing it around the outside there of Augusto into turn number 1. You can see Portis almost getting spun out by, I believe it's Carpenter, who's not. It's Landry who gained some positions. You can see the Lamborghini there. That appears to be Lovefrank, who's just getting scrapped around right now, trying to gain time, gain speed where he can. There's Clifford in the black and green Lamborghini. As we head onto the straight, we'll go on board here. Michael Landry is going to maybe make it 3 wide here with Kenneth Portis on the inside. As we head into Stowe Corner, it is going to be 3 wide. And it is Augusto that backs out, makes contact. Landry's around, the Porsche's around, contact with more of the cars behind. The pink the pink McLaren rather, of I believe it was Wilson getting a little piece of that, or not Wilson, excuse me. Oh, Fernandez sliding through, almost picks up the 999. Now he's facing the wrong way. All sorts of chaos here at the start.
Oh, wow, and some great evasion from a couple of drivers there, Clifford included. That's another thing that happens with these reverse grids. Sometimes you have to dive to get away from an accident. And Silverstone, again, one of those places where you come around a corner and all of a sudden it's just, oh dear, and that's all the time you've got.
Yep, Austin Carpenter was the one that made some contact and more contact as he goes onto the grass. That's gonna, and more contact. I think that was, I don't know who that was. There's Darren Wixoff in the Tron Audi entry.
Oh my goodness.
Wow,
We got through the first race nicely. Is this
and
a safety car?
A safety car has been called.
Is.
We have called a safety car here. Race number 2. Whoa! There's the number 9 of Lanham.
Didn't get the message.
No, I think he missed the message a little bit. But yeah, we are under virtual safety car conditions. Sanchez leading this race because of that. There's Frizza in second, so yeah, it's already off to a start. Rasco will be 3rd, Brooks going to be 4th, and then it's going to be Portis in that top 5. There's Lovefrank, Stapleton still running for some reason. Curious as to what's happening. Says that he's in 7th. Lovefrank, Clifford, Wilson, Augusto, Mondera, Hasser, Landry, Lanham, Battle, Hernandez, Martinez, Freitas, Dan Fernandez, Austin Shirley, Xavier Eaton, Darren Wicks, Austin Carpenter is in the pit lane. He took quite a beating.
Yeah, there was a couple of very heavy hits there right in the corners, so I suspect there's a couple people whose steering wheels aren't pointed the right way anymore.
No, definitely not. It's that's just the danger of these reverse grid races, and I don't think we're going to have another one, at least not for a good while. simply because of the format choices that the governing body has chosen. But this is the first safety car of the North American Sprint Series. I don't know if it's the first safety car, period, in Season 16, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh no.
No?
Oh no.
Has AP,
no.
has AP been doing their thing?
No. There was 2 in the first several laps of a split, which shall remain unnamed. But yeah, there's actually been, I believe, the majority of races for this week have involved a safety car.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like we have seasons where we don't do reverse grid, and then we do them for like one season. We're like, well, let's try it this time, and then, you know, things like this happen, and then everyone kind of just looks over at the OR heads and just goes, hey, can we not, please?
Yeah. I don't know how much of the format it is and how much it's the track. Silverstone, again, you're going so fast, so much of the time. There's no reaction time. It's not like somebody spinning in a hairpin where everybody's doing 60 kilometers an hour. You're doing 160, 170K coming around a corner, grabbing a gear, and suddenly you're looking at the door of a McLaren. So
yeah,
there's just nowhere to go.
You might be right. I think it's probably at least this track. Yeah, because it seems like you have an airfield, right? And you think, okay, I've got all this space to work with, but you never realize how narrow it actually becomes until you end up side by side.
Yeah, and the speed's got a lot to do with it too. If you think of NASCAR on the super speedways, they always have the big one where, you know, half the field gets wiped out because one person understeered, 20 inches to the left.
Yep.
But it's all part of it. It's not a short season this year. I believe we've got a full schedule. So one bad race, especially in a 2-race format, one bad race isn't going to put you out, especially this early in the season.
Oh, absolutely. We give we cut the total points you can get in half. So it's usually 150 for win, but of course, if you win one race here, it is going to be just 75. As we do see Stapleton going in for a stop-go 30. Now, keep in mind, under safety car conditions, because ACC does not support such a thing natively, we have to do it ourselves, and that means that there is going to be full contact between cars. But everybody, I think, has done a pretty good job as we go back racing. It's Sanchez on pole, or on the top step right now, ahead of Frizza, Rasco, Brooke, Portis, Clifford, Wilson, Loverink, who has gone into the pit lane. Landry, Lanham, Battle, Fernandez, Shirley, Carpenter. You almost wonder if this safety car was actually a good thing for some people, because that means they can get the pit stop cleared early, and then they can just head out there for the rest of the race. They don't have to worry about anything.
I had just written down Loverink's name and put 3 big circles around it and an exclamation point. This might be the smart pit stop strategy. Get it done now while everybody's tight and packed together. You are definitely going to come out on an empty piece of track, and everybody else still owes you a stop. Yep.
Every single person. And Fernandez picking up a drive-through very early. That's odd. Not certain what that's all about. Maybe this is how we're dishing out penalties, but this is early, so it will be served. I don't think they have the option to not serve it.
No.
Portis right now look at Clifford. He's got so much speed under that thing. And as I say that, he goes on to, who said I was going to cast her curse? Sage, I hate
yet. Oh, boy.
Sage, I love you, but damn it.
Now there's a recovery.
Yes.
I suspect some things puckered and some words were said, but what a spectacular recovery in the end.
Yep, and Wilson and Augusto are going to be brought into this as Augusto just pips out of the slipstream for a second. He thought about it, decided against it. Yes, Sage, you told me so. I apologize for doubting you. Augusto, side by side, Andrew Wilson on the inside line here, up through left field, out we go, still the outside line for the Porsche. Can he make the move stick? You can see him just sitting there. There's some steering corrections to try to make sure Wilson doesn't want to give this up as we head into Stowe Corner, or into Cop, excuse me, and he is just going to have to back out as our poor Cone gets booted out of the way. Overstayed his welcome, but the re-aggressing, Wilson, I thought he was going to go for it, but that was never going to pan out if he tried.
Augusto has got some wonderful race energy ahead of themselves, and I just love it. They haven't run into anybody, so I am all in favor of energy. It's just go, go, go. They only driving hard. That was a great battle for position.
Absolutely. Yeah, this guy, I mean, he's come onto the scene. He's a new racer here in North America, and already he's showing what he's capable of, kicking it with some of NA's best and doing better in some capacity. So this is a guy I really am interested in seeing as the season goes on, just how much further he can push himself.
Yeah, that first 2 or 3 races of every season, there's that flexibility built in where we know people could be moving from class to class. And even the folks that have been around for ages and ages, every year is a new season, or every season is a new season, and you have to sort of earn your place. So about 1 race from now, say after Kyalami, this is what I need to do. These are the people I need to beat. These are the people that I need to keep behind me, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you learn how everybody drives the more you, of course, drive with them. So for some drivers, these are familiar faces. You know, you look at Sanchez, Rasco, Frizza, Portis coming into the pit lane now, Clifford, Hasser, you know, very common names to hear. So for them, it's more just shaking off the rust and being like, okay, I remember racing against you. But for other names like Augusto, or I believe Brooke, Shirley, Battle, Stapleton, these are new. They've got to do, I think, more work than the others.
Sure, it's like a rookie in any series. You see it in the real life racing series as well. You have to earn that respect from the people that already have it for each other. And that's fair. Nobody here is, nobody's a jerk about it. But you're gonna have to show that you can run at the front. But when you do, like people like Augusto, when you show you can run up there, they're just gonna dust off a chair and say, "Get in and go."
And speaking of dusting off the chair, we're gonna sit in the passenger seat right now. Tim Brooke, this is UK's very own, in the 404 from Satellite Racing, and right now he is sky high in position number 4. Frizza just up ahead. And then beyond him is going to be Brian Rasco, and you can just see Sanchez exiting the picture, going behind the barrier. Frizza getting on the dirt a little bit. He's going to sidestep the Ferrari. He's able to get the equine under control. Brooke later on the brakes scares Frizza off his line, actually. Frizza had to, I think, let go of the brake a little bit. Now over-under for the 404. How is the BMW going to be doing out of the corner onto the straight? With the slipstream, you can see him getting closer. What does Frizza do? Frizza's going to hold his line. He's going to tell Brooke to try on the inside. That he does. Side by side we go through Brooklands into Luffield. Brooke, for a moment, makes the move stick. Now he does. Gets around Frizza in a spectacular move for position number 3.
Great decision-making from Frizza there as well. Fight, fight, fight. I'm beat. Let him go. There was no wasted energy, but there was also no desperate attempt to get back or anything like that. They admitted they were beat at the 3rd corner and just let it happen.
Yeah, but now here's the thing. Frizza could say, all right, you've got the position. Let's see how well you can hold that. Because it's one thing to catch up. It's another thing to pass. And it's a third thing to stay ahead of that person. And with someone like Frizza behind you, and then you can see Clifford behind him and Augusto, Brooke's got a lot on his plate right now.
Oh, and yet if the 4 of them work together, they can close this gap and get up and be fighting for a 6-car pack for the lead if they can keep it together as a group until then.
Let's check out
this.
We're
getting some racing in here.
Yeah, side by side with Freitas, the 2 Ferraris. But it is going to be the Brazilian that comes out on top. Does not need any nudes from that man. Of course, the Craft Racing. So I'm sure that Craft will be hitting them up for that macaroni sponsorship in due time.
Oh yes, I believe the sponsorship is $1.49 a box.
You don't get the whole pack of 20 or whatever it is that they sell. You just buy it by the box. What are you, weird?
I don't have a bulk discount card. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's unfortunate. Right now, Brooks doing a great job. I think Frizza recognizes the speed, because he has not been able to close the gap, but who has been is this man right here, the 999 Lambo of Clifford, who's going to be looking on the inside of the same corner that Brooke got his move done, and he's going to do the same a little bit sooner than that, and Augusto as well. So Frizza's starting to lose some positions. You can see the trio keeping each other company. Oh, a great exit there for the 27, but the Ferrari's in the way. Now we get the power down. Ooh, a slight release to not make that much contact into Cops. He's looking to the inside. You got to be careful. We've seen what can happen when you go too wide into this corner, and Frizza is going to be overshooting it, but stays ahead. So Augusto now next up to the plate. Can he hit it out of the park?
Oh, that was that off track there was right on the limit of no time gained and or a track cut warning. So we'll see. We'll see if they have to be a little more careful as the night goes on. But careful is not the word I would mention right now for this whole top 10, top 11 even. They're all fighting for position.
Oh yeah, you don't really have the time for it. I mean, 15 and a half just about as Frizza runs wide again. You make a move stick now or you don't make it happen at all. Augusto now around the outside there into Vale. That was well done, but Frizza back on the attack to try to crisscross it, but it's not going to be enough as the 27 Porsche gets the job done.
Wow. Audacity incarnate. That's just bold driving and a trust that the people you're driving with are as good as you are. And yeah, talk about making your mark. I think this silver number plate is going to be turned to the white number plate of a pro pretty darn.
Yep, I think maybe for some of these drivers, yeah, they are silver. Augusto, Frizza, Sanchez, Freitas, Eaton. A couple of those names not unfamiliar, but still unclassified. So ideally, those get sorted out during our break next week. I believe we have our Bathurst 12-hour coming up next weekend, so that is why we are going to be off. We want to give some of these drivers who are on teams rather the chance to get as much practice in for that, especially Bathurst. That is the one track you really want to be ready for. I don't think there's any other circuit here in ACC where you look at and go, I should be dedicating at least 12 hours every 11 hours to that track.
And yeah, and parts of it, it's just terrifying. It's like Eau Rouge and Radillon. In an endurance event, you go through the top of the mountain over and over and over again, and all you can say to yourself is, I made it one more time, I made it one more time, I made it one more time. You say that for 12 hours, you're going to win, because most people are not going to make it every time for 12 hours.
And I say something different every time I have to go through Sector 2, but it's not really broadcast appropriate. Right now, what is broadcast appropriate is Jonathan Clifford, who looked for a bit of inside lane on Tim Brooke for position number 3, but just couldn't
all
find
over
it.
each other.
This is looking good for Brooke. This is some home field defense for Clifford. He's just.
But it looks like what we're seeing here. This right in that middle of the race again. Same thing that happened.
Oh, Brooke loses it a little bit, and Clifford on the inside. And I think this is the position gained, and yes, it is. Brooke just backs out.
My apologies if I talked over you there. You went blank on me,
and you went blank on me, so.
Oh, excellent.
I don't know if it's the Discord. It might. Obviously, my internet's fine. Everything's still running. I don't know. It might be something with the Discord, so I'll have to talk to. Well, Glenn. We'll just put it on Glenn. He's the smart one.
Yeah, it's all good. Either way, same second verse, same as the first. Augusto's right behind somebody and pushing hard. Augusto probably put that on a loop.
He's moving with. Oh, never mind. I was about to say he's making moves with Clifford. He's sort of sticking to him, but it doesn't matter because Tim Brooke comes into the pit lane. So we are under the halfway point of this race, and I think just about half the grid, if not a little less, have yet to pit. You can see Stapleton down in 20th, not clearing that pit stop. Of course, had a stop go 30, so you have to do penalties and mandatory stops separately. Passer comes in as well, and I think that's pretty much it for right now because everybody else is either cleared the stop or is past the pit lane and can't go in just yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks might be taking their guidance from Clifford in the first race and running right as long as they can, especially with that little scare of the safety car. If that happens again, we're all nose to tail, in which case you should have done your stop by now. But assuming we run green to the end, I think the Clifford plan, to coin a phrase, is probably the right one, pitting on that last possible lap, taking 1 liter of fuel and doing the blast pit.
Yeah, I think
minus
so.
the stop and go party.
Yeah, well, getting that at this point would just, I mean, at that point I would just be like, all right, I'm retiring the car, I'm going to bed. But I don't...
Switch your stream over to 18 plus and let yourself vent for a little while.
Oh, no, that's, you turn the stream off and then you 18 plus. Then you just start saying all sorts of profanities. Not Clifford. I feel like if Clifford gets angry, he just sort of sits there and he's just like, damn it, and like that's it. He gets one damn it out and he's like, all right, I'm all set, I got everything I needed, we're good.
All I will say is I've watched his streams and I will not comment further.
All right, I will have to check it out then. I'll look at the archives and see what he's got in there. But I mean, overall though, I mean, he's such a good driver. It's always, I love watching him race, whether it's, you know, here in the Sprint Series, you know, through the eyes of the broadcast, or if I watch sort of his archives at a later date. It's always just, it seems like no matter what condition the car or the tires are in, it almost feels like he's driving the exact same line every single time over such a long duration.
Oh yeah, he's rock steady, and also credit where credit is due. He has sat in the Lamborghini through the good, the bad, and the ugly for that car.
Yes, he has.
And he's back. It's back in the good books now. So I'm still surprised that more people don't drive it. I see we've got 2 this season, so that's good to see. It's what I drove the last season, and I love that car. It is trying to kill you every second of the day. But when you've got as many thousands of hours in it as Clifford does, apparently it is tameable and very, very quick.
Yeah, it is one of those cars that's high risk, high reward, but like you said, when you put the hours in, you are rewarded handsomely for it. Right now, we check in Austin Carpenter and Tim Brook, the slide there for the Briton out of Maggots and Beckett's, but that, despite that, has grown his lead, so maybe a little bit of speed drifting. So if Tim plays Trackmania, then I'm sure he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and if he doesn't, well, he'll figure it out. But this is the battle for position 11. The clouds have come in, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any rain, so I guess we'll have to wait for Kyalami to see if there's going to be some precipitation, because we have not got any. Oh, and Larry Lanham's actually in the mix now as well.
Speaking of in the mix, my math, which is question, no, I'll put it on the line this time. Loverink's in the lead when we take the pit stop into account. They're only 26, 28, less than 35 seconds behind, and even one liter, you're not going to get that done in 35 seconds, including the in and out. So I think we've got Loverink in the virtual lead of this race once these last 5 or 6 do their pit stops. Yeah,
he's going to just run away with it. I mean, he does have fastest lap at the moment, so I don't think there's any question whether or not he will or will not. Wilson comes in, Sanchez just getting that pit stop done, so we'll see where he comes out, and then that'll just leave Clifford, Augusto, Frizza, and Freitas, who are still out there on circuit. I want to just take a quick second and talk about the sort of super sprint format, as it was dubbed so many seasons ago. I feel like sometimes it's just, I don't feel like there's ever really like a right balance, because before we've done like 30 and 30, and then we've done 20 and 40. I mean, it seems to be mixed opinions. How do you feel, Kevin?
I like the 20-40 myself. The 30-30, I haven't. I mean, it's been ages since I did that format, but I don't mind this format. I know it can lead to mayhem, but it's always interesting. Sometimes it's mayhem, but it is always an interesting format. The 20-40 takes away a bit of that pressure. So you've got a lot of positions to make up, but at least you've got sort of a full stint to do it in, a full 40-minute stint, as opposed to sitting on the start line, looking up at you and doing the math and going, I got 16 laps to make up 10 positions.
Yeah. Okay. That's a fair take. That's a fair take. I'll give you that.
But to put a caveat on that, I have also been and I'm going to use the word advisedly, the victim of it. And I ended up, the only pole I've ever had in OOR was the result of a reverse grid, and it rained on me. And all I can say is I've never gotten out of the way of more cars faster in my entire sim racing career.
I think I remember that. I think just watching you slowly fall back, and I'm like, he's literally just, this is deliberate. This is not like pace. This is him just saying, I don't feel like dying today.
Yeah, that was absolutely, off you go. I don't belong up here.
It's like...
And it worked. I ended up with a very good result. For me, I ended up with a very good result in that race.
You did well, and I'm proud of you for it. And you can take that home with a little trophy cabinet.
But boy, did crew chief not like me, and I used the sweary version, so I got told off a lot.
Oh yeah, it happens. Oh, hold side by side. Whoa, Carpenter got a little bit too impatient there. That pushes Brook off the road, and he actually slows down to let him through. Oh, now we've got some chaos getting ready to brew, boys and girls. It's Brook, Carpenter, Lanham, Wilson going side by side there with the Ferrari. Ooh, and a flash of the lights there. We had some lights flashing with Rasco just a little bit ago with Sanchez, and now it's the inside. Late braking the number 9, Larry Lanham off the brakes, trying to gain the time back. Tim Brook is going to take every little bit of advantage he can side by side. McLaren, Ferrari on the left side. The Gulf livery and McLaren on the outside. Then the inside again. Can he get it around? No, he cannot. It is going to be Larry Lanham that pushes through. Another position for him. And Freitas, I see, has a drive-through, so he's pretty much out of this fight. The next chance, or as far as we're concerned, because he's going to have to serve that as he runs onto the grass. This man is, I think something's getting to him. He's making too many mistakes too quickly. I don't know what it is, but that is absolutely unfortunate for him. But great racing otherwise from just the whole pack, really.
It's so easy to get in that moment and just get flustered. And when you look back at it after, it looks like you forgot how to drive, and you didn't. You just forgot to drive. You're just too flustered. I had a moment in the off season, where I was involved in an accident, and I pinned the wrong pedal. Instead of holding the brake to the floor, I held the gas to the floor, ran into 4 people, and wrecked the race. And rightfully so, was penalized most heavily for that. But yeah, you live and you learn.
Yeah, I feel like we're always advised to hold the brake down, so holding the other one down doesn't do anything. And if you hold the clutch, if you have a clutch, that's not really going to do anything. But it's the thought that counts. Freitas is in. He's going to serve that. All right, I want to check in on Sanchez and Rasco, because while you were discussing the super sprint format, there was, I don't know what happened, if there was some contact or something, but out of out of the last couple of corners, Rasco flashed the headlights and more contact between the two McLarens. What is going on with them? They are not good friends at the moment. I think I just saw a flash. I could be wrong, but I don't know what is going on between them. They're racing for position, of course. This would be, well, once Augusto comes in, it's going to be P5 or P4, excuse me. But I don't know what is happening. I've never seen them like this before.
It's certainly intense, and at least one of those moves sort of looked like a move on the middle of a straightaway. So another one of those moments where I'm glad I'm not the steward for tonight.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. We're looking at Frizza and Wilson at the moment for 11th. Frizza still has to pit. Same with Augusto. So out of the 22 on grid, it's just 2 of them. And it's funny because it says that Frizza is out, so I think he might have just dipped into the pit lane, which tripped up broadcast controller. Hasn't actually gone for anything, but yeah, he'll be well down the grid by the time he comes out. If my prediction is to be believed, Sanchez, Rasco, sort of a Constantina in and out. Nobody's really gaining, nobody's really losing, but all of that is good for this man, Kenneth Portis, in 7th, because if they fight enough, he could be getting 2 for 1.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for speed, that's the car that's got it. If you want to close up on a straightaway, you combine the draft and the Honda, you're going to close up gaps in a hurry.
Keep in mind, this is sort of the pre-BOP Honda, so this is some... Oh, hold on, who is that? Who is that? Ooh. Someone was off the road. That was the 35 of Stapleton, so I'm not certain what happened there. I've also been told by the smartest man here currently in the stream, Glenn, that Frizza missed the pit window with 4 minutes to go, and Augusto as well. So that doesn't clear it. So they are going to be penalized heavily at the checkered flag. Too
late. Oh my goodness! And I totally missed that. We were watching for it in the first race, but yeah, the pit window closes with 5 minutes to go. We even talked about how Clifford pushed the limit in the first race, and pushed the limit too far. 2 of them are going to find out what the penalty is for that. 130 seconds apparently, according to those that know.
130 seconds? Wow, that's a lot. Glenn, do you not mean like a minute and a half? That's a lot. But you know what the thing is though about that? The thing is, some of these guys, you get so like put into autopilot and you get so focused on racing, whether you're just doing your thing or you're racing against someone else, that you just completely blank. You completely forget about it. And I think that's what happened with both of them. They got 2 ahead of themselves and ended up with what is going to be a penalty soon enough as Loverank crosses the line. We're starting the final lap in Frasco. Ooh, big hit there out of the final corner. I think he just got on the throttle a bit too early. I want to roll this back. Can we get it on here? We will. So let's see what happened here.
That looks like a McLaren TC0 moment to me.
I think he is. He running TC0?
Yes, it's quick. I don't know if they are, but that it is one of the things that a lot of people are doing, and it does lead to that.
It looked like he went for the line, but ended up right behind Sanchez, and he had to do some weird little maneuvering, and that is what put him around, as he is sitting 10th, and there's some pretty heavy front end damage on that. It's not enough. He's no reason to go in because he was past the pit lane at that point, but he was on for a potential 4th after the after the penalty gets applied to Augusto. But he might be lucky to get out of this with even a couple more positions. I would say maybe at the most like P7. That of course, considering if he can keep Lanham and Wilson behind him for one more lap. Austin Carpenter eyeing up Tim Brook, and he's got about half a lap to do it.
And we're getting confirmation again from the persons who apply the penalties. It is 2 minutes and 10 seconds for missing your pit stop. That's a full lap plus.
In this, that's about another 30 some odd or 20 some odd seconds added on. But Loverank is gonna go 3 for 3 here. He won the first race at COTA. He won the first race here this evening, and he's gonna do it again as he crosses the line. Michael Landry is gonna make it onto the podium here, position number 2. Jonathan Clifford has held off Augusto. Not like it really matters that much because Augusto 130 seconds getting added on. We'll see where that puts him. Sanchez will be picking up another position off of that. Same with Portis, who should make it into the top 5. Tim Brook, ooh, just barely ahead of Austin Carpenter. A little bit of a celebratory flash of the headlights there. Larry Lanham is going to make it into position 9. Wilson 10th, and Rasco losing a couple positions at the end off camera. Spondera in 12th. Frizza also picking up 130 seconds of penalties because of the missed pit stop. Dave Hasser comes around the corner. He'll be gaining some positions off of that. Darren Wicks as well. Surprisingly, the number 14 after penalties will finish in position 14, so he can take that home with a nice little bow on top. Austin Shirley, after the first race fiasco, will be down here in 16th. Then it's Hernandez. Then it's Fernandez, 18th. And then we've got Jake Battle, Xavier Eaton Ondanique, Stapleton, Edson, Martinez to round out the rest of the grid. But Kevin, as we wait, that is going to do it for us here tonight.
And exciting was the word. Say what you will about the Super Sprint format. It is great content. I probably wouldn't be as happy for it if I had a car in it and it was a real life car and I had to replace all those body panels. But boy, oh boy, it's fun to watch.
It is, yeah. This circuit always produces some great racing, regardless of what we're talking about. If it's sim or real life, it's always a blast to watch as we see Eaton cross the line to get us sorted out for the end of the evening. But folks, we are going to be taking one final look here at the results this evening before we head on out. Of course, Austin surely is going to be down in like position 17 or something. So it's Lovering, Freitas, Landry, Carpenter, Portis, Augusto, Rasco, Brook, Sanchez, and Frizza, your top 10 for race number 1. In the Pro-Am category, it is going to be Lanham, Hasser, Wicks, then Shirley, then Battle. Amateurs, Fernandez, Martinez, Stapleton, Hernandez, Tchaikovsky, Haller, and Bandera unfortunately was disqualified, apparently double speeding in the pit lane, so that is going to be the end of that for the amateurs. And then for those yet to be classified, Freitas, Augusto, Sanchez, Frizza, Eaton, and Montoya off to race number 2. Lovering taking it home again, 7 seconds ahead of Landry. Then it's Clifford, Sanchez, Portis into the top 5 with the Honda. Brook, Carpenter, Lanham, Wilson, and Rasco. You can see Augusto and Frizza booted all the way down to 19th and 20th for missing their pit stop. So they are going to be a little upset about that, but not much they can do now. For the Pro-Ams, it's Lanham, Hasser, Wicks, Shirley, and Battle. The amateurs, Bandera takes home top spot for the red class. Then Hernandez, Fernandez, Stapleton, Martinez, Haller, and Tchaikovsky. I believe both of those guys had to retire the car. And then we get into the unclassified. Sanchez, Eaton, Gusto, Frizza, Freitas, and Montoya. But Kevin, that's it, and we've got some time before Kyalami, so closing thoughts for tonight.
I can't wait. Kyalami is a spectacular track. A lot of the same things you can say about all the tracks that I like. Blind corners, blind crests, hard, difficult technical racing, and of course, the sausage curb at Cheetah.
Oh my. Oh, you know, I did a 9-hour at Kyalami, but I was in the Bentley, and that was the one corner I actually ended up not minding too much because of the Bentley's seat position. I know there is a Bentley driver out there, and we hope to see it back on that South African circuit at the commencement of race number 3. Again, it is going to be a bye week coming up as we do prepare for our 12 hours of Bathurst, so these drivers are going to be getting ready, some of them. For the rest of you, hopefully we see you there on the broadcast. A final shout out, of course, to Simrigs for sponsoring season 16 of the Sprint Series from Melbourne, Australia. Awesome group of guys and gals over there. Everything you would need for your Simrig setup, from wheels to bases, pedals, shifters, and pretty much anything else you could put on a rig. They've got you covered. And especially those in New Zealand, the Kiwis as well, getting a little bit of love. And if you're outside of those borders, if you send them an email, we will be happy to help you out. And if you are one of our Patreon supporters, you're going to be getting 5% off your in-store purchases, so do take advantage of that. Sim racing is not cheap by any means, unless you're getting some of the very, very super duper entry-level wheels. But if you're looking to get something nice, Simrigs has got you covered, so thank you again to them for sponsoring this season. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us tonight. 2 weeks between now and Kyalami. Lovering going to be looking for win number 4. We'll see if he can do it. We've had a couple drivers in the past pretty much win every single race, barring 1 or 2, but maybe we can do it again here. But on behalf of myself, Kevin, and everybody here at the OOR, we'd like to thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, whatever it may be, no matter where you're watching. And if you haven't already, join the Discord. Get in on the action here. It is some of the best racing you can have in sim racing. Definitely not my biased opinion. But other than that, folks, as always, stay safe, stay beautiful. We'll see you next time.